Hello, magnificent human beings. My name's Landon. Welcome to Yoga New Mexico, where we focus on empowerment, alignment, and strength. You are in the right place, capable and strong. So what are we going to do today? It's Wednesday, and on Monday I said, hey, tree is the theme of the week, so we're going to break down Vriksasana tree pose. And there are a lot of questions when it comes to this posture. They're just, so many things of, well, where do you put your foot? And then how am I supposed to feel this here? And question and blah, blah, blah. I hope to answer as many of those as I can for you in this video right here. So go ahead and roll out your mat. I will roll the intro screen. So I think that tree pose really has a lot to do with two things. One is balance and the other is a hip opening. Now, I think most people kind of err on the side of, oh, it's a balancing posture and I'm just supposed to be balancing here. And that's very true. But there are other elements to this posture that really kind of will, light your practice on fire. It'll kind of change things a lot. So we're going to do this a little bit backwards. Let's not stand up. Let's lay down because I want to illustrate this point of that kind of opening in your hips. So go ahead and come on and lay down. And if you don't have your mat rolled out, maybe just take some mental notes for now. So, laying down on your mat, if you're going to do a modified tree pose, then you bring this on up and you let this fall out, right? Or if your tree pose is here normally where that foot is on your calf, then that's cool too. But to get kind of the full feel of it, bring your heel up as high as you can and then let it drop on out. So your left knee is bent and it's out there to the side, right? Take your hands and push down on this hip right here. And you'll kind of see what I mean is that really this opening comes in your hips here. So if you push this one down, like this hip down, and then this leg down as well, you can really get that sense of opening in your hips from the front. And that's exactly what you want to be feeling in your tree pose when you're standing, because you're allowing gravity to do the work, right? But when you're standing, you're allowing your muscles to do the work of bringing that leg on back. So let's go ahead and look at what this looks like from a standing position. So standing here on your mat, and we're going to get into those specifics of where you place your foot in tree later. I just want to focus on this idea of the hip opening. So just kickstand your foot here for now. Left foot on the inside of that right ankle. Right hand, right hip. And keep your hips square. Keep your hips square with the mat. And we'll square with the front. And right hand, right hip, left hand, inner left thigh. And most people will kind of keep this knee up and straight. And you want to bring it back. So if you look at it from the side over here, then this leg should be able to come back so much that your knees kind of disappear behind one another because you're allowing this femur to kind of rotate out and open up. So it opens up your hips. So that's kind of the biggest first thing, is getting that hip opening from the front. So if you're doing it from the opposite side, left hand on your hip, right hand, inner right thigh, and you pull it on back. And you're going to notice this tendency of the more you pull this back, the more you'll come out of improper alignment. So you have to find that happy medium, right? Of where are my hips square versus where am I opening up my hips? So that's kind of the first biggest thing. And if you want a tip on how to have better balance in your tree, practice. That's all I can say, is just practice. Especially if you've recently started yoga, you've probably already noticed that your balance has gotten a lot better in a relatively short period of time, and it will only continue to get better. So just keep practicing, just stay with it. Next, let's talk about where you're supposed to put your feet. So if you've been to a few different yoga classes or checked out a few different things online, you've probably noticed that teachers will have you, so let's say we're going to move our left leg, right? You will maybe kickstand it here, or on that inner calf, or on that inner thigh. Most all teachers will tell you to avoid the knee joint, which is true. Never rest your heel in at your knee joint because, well, obvious reasons. It puts strain on that joint, and you just don't need to do that. So the truth is, you can put your foot wherever you want. And I mean, well, other than your knee joint, but I guess I'm really just saying it doesn't really matter all that much. The biggest thing that matters is that you listen to your body. So let's say maybe you're getting over a cold or something, and you were just barely able to make it in to the studio that day, or to turn on the video, or however you're practicing. And if you only feel that you just want to come right here in your tree because you feel a little nauseous, you feel a little whatever, that's fine. The yoga police are not going to come to your door and break it down and give you a fine for not doing your tree right. I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. So just really think about how you feel in your body. That is the biggest tip I can give you, is to really connect, close your eyes for a little bit, and just ask yourself, okay, how deep do I want to come in my tree pose today? So if you cross this foot over and allow this to open up, that's fine. I kind of like this because it really encourages that hip opening even more, and then I start to come up. So a lot of the times I'll kind of instruct folks to cross this foot over, bring this knee back, get that hip opening from your front, and then find wherever you are in your tree. Also, another place to put your foot in tree is bringing this heel all the way up in between your hip crease and your pubic bone. And when you do that, you can allow your knee to drop on down. And this is quite an advanced form of tree, because if you are not flexible in the right areas when you do this, then you're going to injure yourself. You're going to put strain on your knee, you're going to put strain on your ankle. So if you start to feel any sort of tension or discomfort in your knee or your ankle when you come up into that posture, just don't do it. Just back off, because you need to be able to stretch out your hamstrings, your quads more, and you need to allow for that natural rotation of this femur to come out more before you even go that far. So again, it's about listening to your body, right? So if you can bring this heel all the way up and then allow that knee to drop on down, that's fine. I would recommend keeping this foot flexed, because you keep this foot flexed and it protects that knee joint. Because if you just let it kind of loose here, then you might be causing a little bit of injury in that knee. So it's better just to gently keep it flexed. Not a lot, just a little bit. So, and you can hold that foot on up. And eventually, wherever you are in your tree, whether you're here or whether you have, that foot down on your calf, everybody says to grow your branches. And this is totally fine to have your arms straight up. You can interlace your fingers, you can have them separated, you can sway a little bit. Again, I encourage you to do what feels best for you. Check in with your body and just see. Okay, the last tip I want to give about tree is something very subtle, and it's one of those things that will really kind of change things in your practice. So you need to be holding tree for a while before you can kind of get here. So after you've done all those little steps, right? You've found your balance wherever you are. This hip is open. Leave your hands on your hips. And what you want to do is very, very gently engage your pelvic floor and tuck your tailbone. So you're just like shifting your pelvis forward a tiny bit. You're scooping it forward. And nothing drastic, nothing like jutting your hips forward. I'm talking a fraction of an inch, just a tiny bit. So you do that, and then you begin to elongate from that lower part of your spine. So just a little scoop, a little tuck of that tailbone, and then lengthen up through that torso. So taking those hips, bring them forward a tiny bit, and then grow on out. And what this allows for is for, it's not specifically the femur head, it's kind of more like the muscles and the ligaments and everything have around it in that hip socket to disengage, because, you know, you're using that strength so much to hold this leg up, and you kind of forget that you need to relax this whole area of where, you know, your femur goes into your hip socket here. So if you have your leg up high enough, this leg can actually be relatively relaxed. This whole area should be able to relax and open up. And then when it relaxes, then you'll be able, instead of having, you know, your foot right here, once you're able to relax this, it kind of magically will start to open up a little bit more. So I know that was a lot on tree, and I hope some of those tips have helped you. So try some of those. See if you can get that hip opening from the front, and then eventually, once you do have your balance and you feel good about where you are, tucking your pelvis just a tiny bit, and then growing out of that low back. And those little tiny changes, you're going to notice a lot of little magical things happen in your tree pose. So that is it for today. If you found this video helpful, please share it. That would be amazing. If you have questions, ask them below. I'll get back to you. I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, you are a magnificent human being. You are in the right place, capable and strong. Namaste.